It's a bit slow. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live peoples joining me on this Sunday evening, which is quite sunny now in the UK. I'm working in my Mythomorphia and I found a nice dragon page. So I wanted to work with my gouache, and it's dried, but I've sprayed it with water to make it kind of what I call tacky. And because I want to put it in this 45 pan, I'm going to make 45 colours of the gouache into these pans. I want to use these palettes. I can use these palettes because this is where the gouache is going to be eventually. I love this. It dries very, very quick. I'm using just a barely damp brush, but you do have to mix these colours fairly thinly, and definitely not in the traditional way. This is not how you use gouache at all. If you are using it professionally, please don't use it like this. This is purely for colour books. And the consistency I'm getting is as if you had a permanent felt pen. As kids, you had a felt pen and you would colour in. This is the consistency. It's like a damp marker. So it's not very wet at all. And it's definitely not how you would normally use gouache, but it works really well if you use a damp brush and you keep your page fairly dry, and you get some quite nice effects. So just before, don't want anybody to ruin their gouache and their pages, so I'll zoom in, and sorry about it's out of focus. I'll sort that out in a second. So I'm using my number 6. See if I can get that to Art Master Pearl Series 11, and it's quite a chunky pen, but then it has a lovely tip. It goes to a very fine point that you can twist, and that's going to hold a little bit of colour, and it's also but pure colour, and it's going to release it quite slowly. I'm going to be in complete control over the paint, not like the rigger at all. This is completely different. And try not to use the top of your barrel, and definitely do not use gouache with a water brush. You will ruin it. Always use a normal brush and try not to use the top part of it. Use the flat bit, but try to keep it out of here, because this colour will come back to haunt you 6 months down the line and ruin whatever you're doing. So I'm going to trying to get everything in frame, but you can see the colour, and it's dried completely, that now, and so is this. So I'm reconstituting it, and that's a bit wet, so we need a little bit more water. And this kind of wants to be like watery, almost like milk. I would say like milk. Definitely not cream, definitely not like oil paints or acrylics. And I always want to do a little bit of a tester as well, just to make sure. And I think I want to lighten that a little bit, just to give a tiny bit of variation. So I'll probably keep this colour and it'll go to nothing, because I may use it. It's now gone to a pale orange. I may use it for the blossom. We have some Chinese blossom on this particular painting. So I thought I'd pick the easiest thing first, because I'm a coward, and that is the Chinese lanterns. So I googled while I was eating a huge 99, which is a soft ice cream with the biggest flake you've ever seen. So I was googling the dragon to try and find some nice colours, and I found some what I call ready orangey lanterns, but then the tall ones here, just a bit further across, were like a reddy maroon colour. They were kind of a deep, a different colour. So the gouache you can go over if you're not happy with it, but it's very, very therapeutic, very easy and very quick. You do have to wash your brush out, so I do have a very large pot here for cleaning the brush, and then I have a baby wipe, or it's actually a face wipe because I use face wipes twice, 3 times a day, so to freshen up, and they are fragrance free. So I decided instead of throwing baby wipes away, I was going to recycle and save the planet a bit more. So it's only having my brush on it, nothing else is going to go on it, so it's perfectly okay for using as a brush. But you do waste a little bit of colour. No, the green wasn't from my face. So you do waste a bit of colour, and as a tight Yorkshire lass, that's a little bit against the grain, but the benefits of how I'd forgotten how wonderful these gouache are, so I can live with that. And I'm wasting very little. So I can do two things. I can either touch that colour to make it darker, and it's more like a cherry red is that, so I'm not really happy with that. If I go that way, whoopsie. That's completely dry now, so I can go over that. So that's a bit too much of a cherry red, is that really? Just get that in the right position. So I do have a bit of a, it's a bit of a cherry red that, so I'm just going to try and steal some of all that orange, and again you'll see that now change. So it's not the brightest pink, but it's kind of a reddy pink, and I think I want it a bit darker, so I'm going to just add a touch of this wet green and start in this bottom corner and see what happens. So if you want to darken a red, don't put black in it, don't put Payne's grey in it, put green in it. So that's really nice, and actually I'm going to use that for the shadow at the bottom. It's just that bit too dark for what I want at the top. Again, add a bit more red back. And you do a lot of this in colour mixing. Never mix it all. Always start at the bottom and mix back. Then if you go too far, you can come back again. So again, I've just got some kind of a hair on that. So use half of again. And I haven't done this for a long time. I don't think I've done this before. So now that's quite a nice purpley pink. I'm just going to go the whole hog and stay at this end this time, so the darkest is still down there, and just see. And I am 3/4 of the way up, but I'm not pushing colour up there, and when I wash the brush out it will come out. I like that. It's quite dark, but I like that because it's going to be a nice colour. So, and you would never get this colour out of a tube, so again I like that particular way. I'm going to put this side, I'm going to put over here as a shadow because it's going to be darker. And the consistency, it feels, and it's going on the paper just like it was a felt pen. And I really like that because it takes me back to my childhood. Very, very quick. And I think these are gold, so, and again, when you see them together, you think, I used the same orange, and that's the other thing about colour mixing. When you colour mix from a limited palette, everything is connected, it's got cohesion, it works well with itself because it's all got a bit of the same red in it and the same orange in it and the same yellow in it, so it always works really well. If you get 6 tubes and you shoot pure colour out of the 6 tubes, it's never going to gel. Remember the rule of 3, and the rule of 3 is you have an orange, a red, and then a pinky red, and then next to each other on the colour wheel. So the yellow is next to the orange, is next to the red. Those 3 colours will go together. Now I have used other things, but in the case of the red rose, with 3 oil pastels. It worked extremely well. I don't think I'll be able to find that particular book. Oopsie, I've got to be careful, don't run over the dog. So here there's 3 colours. There's a pinky red, an orangey red and an orange. And that's the rule of 3. And so they work really well together. And some have got more orange than red and some have got more red than orange, but it works really well. And if you use a pinky red, oh, I just have to move. The boy is, sorry, excuse me, Alfie, good boy. We haven't got Suzanne yet, have we? It does, Kenny. It just glides on like a felt pen, like a marker, and it's because it's gouache. It's designed for graphic designers, so it wants to be flat. So it's perfect. Once you've mastered how wet to make it, and how wet to use it on your paper, you can do anything. And of course you're going to get some lovely graphic images. You're going to get some Disney effects if you want flat colours next to flat colours, and yet you're going to get some nicer colours if you do that rule of 3. And rule of 3 is different to the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is different, but I'll go into the rule of thirds when I do my art project, when I do the live art show next week on Thursday next week. Oh, I've forgotten one. There's one behind there. So I've actually got rid of this colour, but it's somewhere in here. So let me see if I can get it back again. And that's something that I don't normally do. I'm normally quite good. So I'm going to put some of that red into here and test it. And I think it was up here, wasn't it? It's not too, but it's further away, so actually I think I might get away with that. So there's a bit too much on this brush, because normally when you've mixed it you don't really want to be using it. In fact, you should really have a different mixing brush. So I'm going to just put a tad more orange in this bit of it, and then that's going to change it and make it more orangey, just to go underneath there. And you see that's the wrong consistency, because I'm going to have to clean the brush. Twist it on a baby wipe and go back in there, and then again I've got my felt pen back again and put that orange up there. So now I need some gold. I'm just going to double check to see if I don't have any more Chinese lanterns. There's one, yeah, there's 2 over here. We have a quick look, because Kirby likes to bob them everywhere to confuse you, because that's what he does, bless him. That's dry now. That's amazing. It's dried. So I can slide that over here. Very carefully move the tea. And I've got my colour, so I know that this orange is going to be quite nice. The brush is still damp. They're slightly different patterns, so I'm going to put the orangey one on top. Now these are not really the vibrant bright colours that I envisaged, but I'm not particularly bothered. I like the fact that they're easy to do. It's a nice colour, and as I say, it feels like I have a marker in my hand, but I don't have to press hard. It's gliding off that paintbrush because markers are a bit uncomfortable for me, so I want a bit darker underneath. And as long as it's mixed well on the paintbrush, you're going to get a lovely flat colour. And you can just do a bit of pink back over that one. And again, I think that's going to be gold. If it's too wishy-washy, another coat, but make sure it's dry. But there's something quite almost real about the fact that they're a little bit not exactly perfect. Because, of course, they're full of a candle and they will be flickering, and there's lots of other lights going on changing. So in this situation, the lanterns would be different. So thank you for joining me on this impromptu Sunday stream, recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I actually remembered to record because yesterday I did another one and I forgot to record it. You could have a little sign, please check you are recording. So I'm having a very quick look to see if I can find any more lanterns. And I can't really see that. So I might do the head next. I think I'm going to start at the head and go right round the body. That might be another way. Or the flames would be good, but I think I'll do the head first. So I had a real good look at a dragon and I was looking at colours. So you can have a purple dragon with green, or you can green. So these look like flames. And the further away they get to the head, the more flames they look. And again, flames, I wanted that poppy look. But I obviously want them a little bit stronger than these lanterns. So even if you have to stop, and you would do this if you're doing any kind of artwork, if it was a piece on watercolour, if you're doing a final piece, this is probably what you would do. No, Kenny, they can't run because it's not watercolour. It's not wet enough. It's just like having a marker, and it doesn't go through, which is fabulous. I had forgotten how wonderful they were. Watercolour, you'd have to get it very wet to do that, but I think it's that chalk and that kind of the chemical they put in, or the substance they put in to make it a gouache, to make it opaque, holds it together better. But it's wonderful on flat paper. And as I say, I'd never used it in colour books before, but I had a play with this one yesterday, and I don't think it took 2 hours. I don't think it took 2 hours. I can't remember exactly how long it took, but I think somebody might have been here to see me do it. And I absolutely loved it. It was just like having a perpetual marker. And it was very quick and very easy, and I loved it. It was so nice to do. It really was nice to do. And I really enjoyed doing it. I really did. Really thought it was fab. I got the gouache. Kenny just said what brand did I get? I have the designer gouache. There is a set. There is a Winsor Newton designers set. But I didn't like the reds in there, and it didn't have my yellow. So when I went the other day, I bought a lemon yellow, So it's Winsor & Newton Designer, and you get 6, or maybe you get 12 in a pack. But I bought a couple of extra ones. I think I've got 3, and I got an extra white, and I got a big white. That was the first. Oh, that's what I got. I got cerulean blue because it wasn't in there, and you know what I'm like with my cerulean blue. Oopsie, and I got a white as well. I got another large white. You get 2 whites. One is for mixing, which is the zinc, the cheaper one. Sorry, it's out of focus. And the other one is permanent, which is for highlights. But while I was there, I'll just pan out a little bit and I'll show you this. Because obviously my daughter was at uni, so I stole some of her, I'd given her some cheapy ones. I can't reach it now because we've put the trolley around the other side. Bear with me 2 seconds. Gouache, gouache, gouache. Just with me. Oops, 2 seconds. See if I can get up. Sometimes if I've been sitting for a while. So as you probably know, my daughter's doing illustration and animation at university. So when she went, I gave her my gouache. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. Ah, so this is what I've given. Oh, I didn't know I've given her these. Ah, so the runny ones, as I called them, these that have run, that are kind of, the ones that have cracked, they were all full. I filled them all the same level. They've reduced to this, and these are the Daily Rowney. The ones that have cracked were another cheapy set, Essentials, but I love the colours. So, oops, there's a pink there, the pink rose. They're the ones that have reduced a fair bit because they were full. So actually these turned out to have more pigment. If you look, there's hardly any in the trays for these, the Daily Rowney ones. These, and there's some Reeves in here as well, I think. I actually need to take these out because she's not taking those to uni. So bless her, she brought them back for me. I said, oh, I'll try some. I'd forgotten how to use them. I said, I'm sure they'll work in a colour book. So she brought these back. She's brought them back for me. And I filled the 2 trays thinking that she was going to take them away, you see, when she goes back. Which she will be doing. But, so this is just as Essentials gouache, just a cheapy one. But I bought the designer set, and I think there's 12 in there. So bless her, she brought me hers back, but there was a ultramarine blue, and there was a primary blue. But you know what I'm like for my cerulean blue. So, and they had a primary yellow and a permanent yellow. So when I looked, they're all in the stand like this. I looked, the lemon yellow was here. So if you look, it's cooler. So this is like a cadmium. That's a bit darker, and then this is the lemon. So I wanted the brightest lemon, and I wanted the coolest blue, which is cerulean blue. That's just a bit darker. And I wasn't happy. You get spectrum red and primary red, and I wanted cadmium red. And the flame red, if you look, that's pink, that's pinky red, and that's definitely cold cadmium red, orangey red. It's not an orange, it's a cad red, what I would call a cad red. So I've bought those extra ones. So now this is the set that I bought. So some of these must be in here as well somewhere. I hope to goodness they're not those. And mine are on the outside. But I've also mixed my own colours. I mixed my own greens by mixing these together. But I wanted it to be a little bit more fluid than that. And then I felt guilty that I'd kind of squeezed half of hers out. So this was £10 from the range, and it has 24 colours, and they're artist quality, so they're student quality. But it will get her going. So that's what I thought. But for a colour book, these are going to last you forever because they're very, very well pigmented. And again, the difference between these and these is that these will probably last you 10 to 15 times longer than these. But these are 10 to 15 pounds more expensive. That's roughly how it works out. You don't gain anything. It's just these are good to play with. If you like it, you buy these. If you can afford to, you buy these. Even if you buy 6, I wouldn't have bought that set. I would have, if I'd have seen them like this, I would have bought 6 colours. Sorry, I would have bought white as well. And I may have intended to do white and black, but I don't normally use black. But I would have definitely had 2 yellows, 2 blues. You want a warm and a cold yellow, French ultramarine, you want cerulean blue, cadmium red and a pinky red, which is Elysian crimson. And that's all you need. The pinkier red, the better. Remember, these colours are in your printer. These are the colours I did the horse with. These are the colours that are in the printer. If the printer can do it, so can you. But to make things a little bit easier, you've got your purplies, you've got your oranges for your browns, and you've got your warm greens. So, but those 6 colours are really all you need, except for gouache. I would get the 2 whites, a zinc white, and I would get a permanent white. But that's all the colours you really need. These were in the set. But of course, this is the one to play with. These will be perfectly lovely to work in here. I've mixed them all up. I've used 2 of the cheap reds, and I've mixed an expensive red. And I've been mixing them here, and I couldn't tell which ones, but I know they're in here somewhere. So it's really, really nice. For colour, again, it's all to do with technique and to do with mixing the colour and getting the water consistency correct for a colour book. So she doesn't know I bought her those yet. But I say I think they were £9.99 or £8.99, and they were from the same place, the range in the UK. They had smaller sets, but I thought because she's saved a fortune for us decorating a very difficult room that she's been treated. Did that answer your question? Sorry about that. They are small tubes, but remember, watercolour ones are slightly smaller, if not the same size, and they've got the same pigment in. They're so, I mean, look what I've used. I mean, there's the tiniest little dot missing. Can't even see. And yet I've done 4, and I could do another 4. They go a long way. And you don't traditionally get them out like this. The best thing to do with gouache is to watch a lot of YouTube videos. And then decide whether you want to. But best of all, if you have watercolours, go buy, and this is the right one, but not the size. Oh, there it is. Here we are hiding, look. Oh, that's a professional watercolour, and that's your gouache, so they are bigger. That's the permanent, and that's solid, but I can still use it. Somewhere there is a permanent white. Somewhere there is this size, but it's called zinc white. So the permanent white is the white that you use for highlights, and it's stronger and more expensive. The mixing white for making your pale colours, if you don't want to use water, remember these are opaque, you use zinc white. But if you want to have a play with acrylics, but you don't want to spend the money, and you have some really nice, good quality, or even cheap watercolours, ordinary Cotman watercolours, what you can do is you can mix your colours up thicker than this. You know, I would mix your colours up to this thickness here. So mix some watercolour, not as much as that, about as much as this, to be a watercolour, and then put a tiny amount of this in it, and it will make that opaque, and technically, unofficially, it will make that into a gouache. So you could play with your ordinary watercolours. If you mixed the zinc gouache white with them, it will make them opaque. And then you can play with them and see if you like them. And if you like them, then you can buy the real ones. Does that make sense? So you can always have a play. Always have a play. You can't do it the other way. You can't take the gouache out and play with the watercolours. But you mix your watercolours and you put a tiny bit of the zinc white in there of gouache, and it will make your watercolour opaque. So it will give you a good indication of what that blue is going to do. Sorry, not that one. This is permanent blue. I don't know where permanent blue is now. But if that was permanent blue, basically that would make the same. But only to play, not to do a traditional gouache. But if you wanted to just have a play before you bought them, that's what to do. That was a bit complicated, sorry. So that's quite good. But they really do, when you've got the gouache in them, it makes them, because they're opaque, they're not a watercolour, so they're not wishy-washy. You don't get that wonderful watercolour effect that I got on here. You know, you don't get this. You won't get that. But you can manipulate it so that you will be making a pale, and then you could make the other colours, but you will not get them exact. Are you ready for your tea soon, girls? Oh, you're not stopping for tea then? Obviously not. Alright, darling, take care. Give her my love. So that was a quick thing, but I would, if you were going to go to an art shop and you saw the colours, I would buy cerulean blue, I would buy cadmium red, I would buy Elysian crimson, I would buy French ultramarine, and I would buy lemon yellow, and I would buy cad yellow, and the whites. And I wouldn't bother with black, even though people say do have black. I wouldn't bother with black, because you can always mix 3 colours mixed together will make black. If you mixed those 3 colours together, you get a black. 3 primary colours mixed together, you will get very, very dark. And you might not get it perfect, so you'll get a blue black, or you get a red black, or you'll get a green black. But you'll get a dark, 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 dark colour. And black, I was listening to somebody, he said black is the death to colour, and I thought, yes, somebody after my own heart. I'd much prefer to make my own black. Bitty, because it's not my pencil case. Did that make sense? Let me just read chat for a minute. So there's Windsor and Newton, and I think there's about 4 other people that do it. I just happened to... definitely there was just that one set. But I'm using the cheapy ones as well. And I think those 2 colours were just as bright as that one. But I say that you can tell that they have dried out and disappeared. And these probably are that one. You can see it was full, and it's disintegrated, and these have got like an oil coming out of them. That's the binder. That's the binder. You see the oil swimming about at the top of that green? It's quite gross, isn't it? Goodness only knows what that is, but it was pure green, so the only thing to do with that. Oh, it's gone. You see, it's disintegrated. But that is the cheapy one. I don't know what that is. I think I put a brown on a green, so. But this is how you're supposed to mix them originally. You mix them to a water consistency so they don't drop. That's far too thingy. But if you watch the videos, they're very, very good. But I will be using these. I don't think I'll be putting them back in there, but I think I will be using them. But it's just washed off with a swish, so it's not really set on there at all. So it's not that bad. It just looked a bit. Ugh. And this has dried, but this will be reconstituted, as will this. I'm not sure what that means, Kenny, because I'm a bit thick, but thank you. I don't think they're 5mm. Oh, they're 5mm? No, they're 14mm. The big one is 37mm. Oh, sorry, my camera's a bit out. And the others are 5mm, and then the Diddy one, the water one is 5mm. Sorry, yes, the water one is 5. So that's the professional Daler-Rowney water one. That I would be looking for that. It was kicking about somewhere. That's the Gouache, and then that's your other Gouache, and that's your Winsor and Newton artisan. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. I had a sneezing fit. Right, so I'll zoom back in, and then we'll play with the dragon's head. So I've got my bucket of water here, and it is slowly changing colour. Just interferes with my light just a little bit, and I'll pop those over there. So my laptop is being a bit slow. So it's got to have a yellow eye. We know that. So, and I've had these brushes for a long time. Could be 10 years, could have been a couple of years, but it's cracking now. So I'm going to put something over that, won't I? So we want a yellow eye. So we've got a very cold yellow. We've got a bit warmer yellow, but it's still supposed to be a cold yellow. But different makes have slightly different pigment colours in them. And then we've got this orangey one, but I've got a funny feeling. And again, that's got dry, so I'm going to wet them again. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but I'm just doing it because this is for my colour book. When I do my professional, when I do my my letterhead, my logo for my bunnies designs, I probably will be a little bit stricter, but for my colour book, it's fine. And I do like this spritzer that I've got, that, as I say, there was 8 or 10 for £1. So I've got a clean brush, twisted to a point, and as you can see, it's just barely damp, because I don't really need anything else. I'm going in here, and I want to twist some yellow on there. I want some yellow. So I'm just going to go in there with the eye. And it's done then. He's got his yellow eye. Now this brush is a bit softer so it will bend. So again, you've got to be that little bit careful. I'm not sure about these kind of fronds, what they should be. I do know the flames I want to be red, yellow and orange, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get a blend with the gouache. I might not get a blend with the gouache. He's got horns there, so he could have a green back and a red belly. And then the red belly would be going up there with the green. So if that's green, these flowers are going to kind of stand out. So again, that's what I was thinking about when I was first looking. I'm not sure why he's grabbing the flames with his claw, but he's got a claw there. So I can use this yellow and just kind of move that across a bit. And I want a dirty kind of, it's a grey colour for the nails. Kind of a dirty ivory colour for his nails. And I've got that, so now I've got to find his other foot, which is there. And the beauty of this chunky brush is you have quite a lot of colour, so it lets you get on with quite a lot, and it's just like having a marker, but the minute you've touched it, it's dry, almost like a marker. The minute you've touched that, it's gone. Oh no, he's got another claw there. He would have, wouldn't he? So here we've got another claw, and as I say, it just feels like colouring in when you're a child, but you have a perpetual. So in theory we've got another claw then, because he's got two claws there, so there should be another set of claws somewhere. There, holding the cup. So I've got a kind of a witch's, probably that's a better, a witch's colour. But I've got a very, very dry brush now, so I've got to be either very lucky or really, really tease out that dampness without going over. But that's just given me that. That cup could be gold as well, so I could perhaps have a bit of a think about it's not really a gold colour, but again, once you've done it, you can go back in, and again, that's the beauty of this. It's like having felt pens and pencils for me. It's easy, but I can go over that once it's dry. I can go back over there and have a play, and normally I can't do that. Normally once it's done, and I can't do that. So so I need to do the golden fronds. So again, I'm going to use that colour. And I'm actually going to mix this colour out because I do need this colour. So I need to be able to use that colour really. Not in its strongest state, but it's in its diluted state that I've done. And I'm going to paint the fronds and the ribbons and the because I think they're golden. And this brush has got quite a nice fine tail to it, so it will give you that soft effect. Again, it's really nice just to sit and think you've got markers. So I'll do these before I forget. And if I want to go back in and do a shadow later, I can, but I'm just, just treating this as a very simple composition. Sometimes it's quite nice to do it this way, and if it looks good enough, you don't need to do anything else. If it doesn't, then you go back in it. Very similar to when you're working in other things. Sometimes you can do something and think that looks very simple. We think that's under those. It might be a tassel. So it's now become a tassel. And these have got tassels as well. I'm not sure why we've got these tassels now. I've decided to do these in gold. They might be a different colour, but so it was obviously the thing to do is to put the tassels on. Can't see any more. Unless we start with the tail and work backwards. So have you got any questions? So I'm not sure what colour to do his horns. And I've got to sort the green out as well. So I've had a bit of a think about that's his leg. That's his other claw. These are definitely flames, so I might just have a bit of a play. So we kind of want a yellow middle, and then we kind of want an orangey kind of middle there. Now I think one thing gouache will not do, I don't think it'll mix. So to have a bit of a play. So that's how I envisaged that to be. So how we're going to get that actually on this particular page, I've no idea. So we'll pick a small one and then we make a boo-boo, we can go over it. So I'm going to do this, think that this might be a flame under here. Was it to weave? No, they're definitely, I think. So this wants to be yellow. So I need yellow here. And then I need orange. The orangey red here. Probably want more of the orangey red because this is kind of the that one doesn't look to be mixing quite well, so I'll just have a pluck in this one a bit. like some yellow. So we're going to have a bit of a play there, if I can get that. So I have too much on the brush, definitely. So maybe the best thing to do is to do that. Oops, far too wet. Not sure if the page would take that or not. That's the only thing. Don't quite like that. Oh, we can do that. I think we could just have maybe. So we've got the pinky red, and then we've got the red and the orange. Yeah. And then we've got that vibrant yellow. Oh, I think that works quite well. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope everybody's okay. This is going to be a lot more vibrant now. Just had to work that out because a bit difficult. I think the might be the best thing to do is to do all the yellow first. Traditional watercolour way, maybe. Then you're not washing your brush out, wasting paint. You see tight Yorkshire lass kicking in again. Can't help myself, sorry. So I think I'm going to do all the flames. I'm going to do yellow because it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt at all because it's opaque. So the pink will go over the yellow and it will not make it orange. If it was watercolour, it probably would. But this isn't watercolour, this is gouache. And I'm just about to lose my paintbrushes on the floor if I keep pushing everything further back. Ah, that's what I was going to look for, my sellotape. I really have to do this because it's going to peel off and I don't want it to, so just going to twist as if you were making a. And if you start in a certain way, you just have to keep going. So I'm a bit short. And if you turn it like this, so it's just going up very, very slightly. And I'm actually going to take it further because I don't want it to split. So if I take it past the split, it's not going to split anymore. And then I'm just going to finish the edge off flat. So I've got a really nice crisp edge on that finish. So only now I know it's there, but I know it's not going to split anymore. So that's okay. So I need my orange, could be next, and it's completely dry, is that? Just test to see if it's the same. And then oops, the pinky red. And it's a watercolour, so it will blend. If you want to blend it, it won't sit, it will blend. So I think I like the pink actually. I'm just wondering if I should use that pink. Yeah, that's a better pink. That one is, I think, a bit stronger one. I think I like the reddy pink. I think I like that one. But you can build this up, and once you get it right, it'll be a lot quicker next time. But I like that. I think that's nice. So kind of a little bit is going to give you a bit, and then so I like those colours. And again, it's like having markers. So permanent markers, and I've got all this colour to play with. Just using the tiniest bit. So the yellow, I like to keep the yellow first. I do like that yellow, so we're going to put the yellow in. Um, I've got this one here. So I think that's probably a slightly better way to do it. But you've got to practice and decide which one's the best. It's quite forgiving, is gouache. If you make a boo-boo, you can go back. It's not quite the end of the world if you kind of really mess up. I think that's probably not going to be that one, but then I think that's got to be that one. So yeah, definitely more colour in that other one. Yeah, I kind of like that. And again, it's got that kind of graphic-y sense that, it's not real and it's flat colour. That's exactly what we want. Now that red is very pinky and very strong, because that's the nature of it. And then we've got that lovely. Now, if you were really worried, you could do it with 3 different brushes if you really wanted to. But again, this is the very vibrant yellow. So I hope you found that interesting, and don't forget, try to buy one pack of opaque white paint before, if you're not quite sure, so that's going to allow you to just, the more expensive the pigment, just takes that tiny bit more water because it's the pigment and the binder, but they're still quite nice to use. And just need to knock that pink just off there because it's just going around there, so just try that. I quite like that. Again, I'm just going to put a bit of that dark here, because this is that Rembrandt lighting, putting a dark next to a darker dark next to a lighter light, or something like that. The light will look lighter if it's next to a dark. A highlight will look brighter if it's next to a shadow. That's what I'm trying to say, sorry. So, but I'm just wanting to take that pink off there because I want it a reddy pink, not a pink pink. So I think I quite like that. I think I might just want that a bit dark. Trying to keep 3 shades, but I'm ending up with quite a few. So thank you for joining me, and that's the end of part 2 of my dragon with my gouache. Thank you.